Hello everyone, I'm Amy Fernandez from Literature Live. Ideally, it would have been Anil Dharkar, our founder and festival director, doing the introductions had he not been taken away from us so suddenly. But his legacy continues, and it is my privilege to welcome you to our ongoing series of Tata Literature Live Sports Yatras. The book in focus today is 1971, The Beginning of India's Cricketing Greatness by Boria Majumdar and Gautam Bhattacharya, with a stellar lineup of panelists. I'll hand this over to the inimitable Boria Majumdar to make the introductions and lead the discussion. At the end of the discussion, there will be a Q&A with the audience, so be sure to send in your questions. 5 lucky winners get the Tata Click vouchers. Over to you, Boria.
Thanks, Amy. Two things before I give it to Harish. One, I am deeply privileged and honored to be able to do this because this was the last session that Anil Dharkar and I had planned. And the last message that I had got from him was, let's do this launch together. So this is a tribute to Anil Dharkar, the founder director of Tata Literature Live. I'm deeply grateful to Harish Bhatt, Atul and Jaya for their support because the day this was planned and I called Harish and I said, Harish, can we do this? And of course, I'm very, very honored to have the esteemed panel today. VVS Lakshman, who I consider family, Akash Chopra the same. And both of them agreed at first go because frankly, this is their journey, not mine or Gautam's, because they are inheritors of the baton that was sort of the torch that was lit in 1971 by Ajit Wadekar and his team. The other tribute, Gundappa Vishwanath, has been part of this program from day one. And in every public mention, if you see, his name is there. Yesterday, I got a call from Mr. Vishwanath, inconsolable on the phone. He has lost his brother because of COVID. Each one of us are impacted. Atul, who's part of our team, his family is impacted. So this is a tribute to everyone fighting. And this story of 1971 is actually a story of hope. So the question was, should we go ahead? Should we cancel? We decided to go ahead because in this ambience of gloom and negativity, this is something that will give us a little bit of hope that if those people could in 1971, we can in today's day and age with all of science and all of technology. So plenty to do in the next 45 odd minutes. Harish Bhatt, brand custodian, Tata Sons. Harish, over to you.
Thank you, Boria. I want to welcome our guests to this very special edition of Tata Literature Live Sports Yatras. But before we begin the panel discussion today, on behalf of the Tata Group, I would like to pay tribute to Anil Dharkar, who is no longer amongst us. We had a very, very special relationship with Anil in the Tata Group. He designed, curated and nurtured Tata Literature Live, the Mumbai Lit Fest, which over the years has become one of the world's finest literature festivals. And the Sports Yatras Day, anchored by Boria Majumdar, is really an offspring of the Tata Literature Live, the Mumbai Lit Fest. This series of sports books discussions is curated by Boria in careful discussion with Anil Dharkar. And as Boria has himself said, this was perhaps the last session that Anil and he had discussed that they would do together. Anil was always full of life, always curious, versatile in his interests, a master of the written and spoken word. I still cannot believe that he has gone away. On behalf of Atul Agarwal, Jaya Saptale, myself, and all our colleagues in the Tata Group, I want to wish Anil a fond farewell. Cherish fondly, Anil, the memories that you leave behind. We pray that you rest in peace, and I have a small 6-line poem here that I want to recite for you. Whirling dervish, wonderful friend, full of life until the end, man of passion, champion of arts, your creations charmed a million hearts. We celebrate a life lived so well. Rest well, Anil. A fond farewell. With those few words in tribute to Anil Dharkar, I will now hand over to Akash for the rest of the session. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bhatt. Anil's soul rest in peace. Of course, sport is about hope. Sport is about inspiration. Sport is about admiring what has happened in the past and also just glorifying what is happening in the present. But then, my childhood hero, Sunil Gavaskar, he still tells all of us that cricket happened before Twitter came in. There was a lot that Indian team achieved when internet was not there in the pre-internet era. So once again, I'll just introduce my panelists. So to speak, Boria Majumdar, of course, who's a friend and author. Gautam Bhattacharya, VVS is there. Lakshman Garu, just fresh after a fantastic win yesterday. Jhulan Goswami is also there. So she's a champion, world's best fast bowler. So that's I've got a fantastic panel. But then before I go to VVS or Jhulan, see, books are all about authors, and therefore I'll go to Boria first. 1971, the beginning of India's cricketing greatness. Where will you place this in Indian cricket history, Boria? Because everything needs a context to actually understand the importance of what has happened in our life. So where do you place this 1971 victory?
Thank you, Akash. Right at the top. I mean, I also have to say that Jhulan, when I called Jhulan yesterday before I answered that question, I said, Jhulan, can you come in? And with Jhulan, I have something going. I mean, I can tell her, Jhulan, I need this from you, even if it's middle of. So I have, it's a bit of a strange relationship. I can, not many will I say, family like Jhulan. So Jhulan, thank you. Where do I place it? Right at the top. Right at the top. I don't think there is a 1983 story or a 1985 or a 2011 legacy without 1971. We had never beaten England, and the England that Lakshman walks into or Akash plays in or Jhulan goes and wins a test match in is not the same as 71. 24 years after independence, it was still a very strange country. England was still the master, mentally at least. Beating the colonialists, beating them in their own game was a strange ask. West Indies, 1962, if you think, we lost 5-0. We lost almost Nari Contractor, our captain, his life, because he was battling after that Charlie Griffith delivery. So in every sense, India was the underdog and a rank underdog. To be able to go there, beat the West Indies in the West Indies, beat England in England, was the start of a story that I think got completed in Australia in 2021. And there are uncanny parallels. The 50th anniversary and maybe the final touch will happen once again in England when we play the World Test Championship final in June. So the story started in 71 and will climax in 2021. So for me, that's the 50-year story. So you asked me, where do I place it? I place it right at the very top of the Indian cricketing pantheon.
From one author to the other, of course. See, this was well before we were born. And we have not really fond memories also, because once you don't see, you don't acknowledge, you don't appreciate. 83 is the World Cup that I remember absolutely. I was still 6 years old. So 6-year-old impressionable mind, but 1971, I was not even there. So it's important that you wrote this. Thank you so much, Boria, for writing this. And then once again, I'll have to go to the second author. That's Gautam Bhattacharya. So Gautam da, talk us about Ajit Wadekar, no? Because a team is as good as its captain, some say, but I am also of belief that sometimes, rather, a captain is as good as his team. I actually feel that sometimes team is as good as the captain allows it to be or makes it out to be. So tell us something about Ajit Wadekar and how big an influence he was at that point in time.
Akash, thank you. Firstly, I'd say that, I take a cue from what Boria was saying. I don't think 1983 would have happened without 1971. And as I liked what Mr. Gavaskar had told you, that cricket happened before Twitter had come in. Similarly, I would say that 1971 happened much before 1983. And, Akash, I covered my first English tour in the mid-80s. And trust me, the England in the mid-80s was so much different from the England of today, 2019, 2021 tour, completely different. And you actually sitting in the Lord's press box, as a journalist, you'd have at times inferiority complex. And that's when possibly you realized the importance of 19 own backyard. And I honestly feel that who was called by the media in those era, even later on, as the luckiest captain. I honestly feel he was the unluckiest captain India ever produced, because someone who had won two back-to-back series abroad and then won a series in India against Tony Lewis's MCC, he had to go away. He had to make an unceremonious exit just because he had lost one series in England. I mean, he had just lost one series after winning three series. And Wadekkar's one more important thing is that he took on from royalty Akash, and in Indian cricket in those days was all for Tiger Pataudi. I mean, he was the first superstar of Indian cricket. And the journalists simply adored him. And to take it away from Pataudi, become the first common man captain of India and lead a team with flourish and with so much class and so much perfection. I mean, you are sitting. Your number one off spinner is sitting out in England because you think the other off spinner would do things for you on a multi-purpose basis, because he would also field well, he would bat well, and he's also restrict the opposition. That was Venkat Raghavan. I mean, the kind of decisions that he had made in 1971, the way he bonded the team was sensational. And I would honestly feel that maybe this is the time, 50 years down the line, when Ajit Wadekkar would get his due.
Well, you've done your bit. You've written this wonderful book, and anybody who goes through this book will absolutely be astonished at the details of what happened. Lakshman Garu, I'll come to you now. Garu is elder brother in Telugu for people who don't understand Telugu. I've learned one word. That's because of VVS. VVS, people call you second Vishwanath, GR, the resty elegance. But did he or ML Jaisima or maybe ML Jaisima inspire you to play the game? Was it about ML Jaisima? Was it about GR and that the people in that time?
Well, I think after Kapil Paji lifted the World Cup in 1983, I was definitely motivated and inspired, and I started dreaming. Even though that's probably the wildest dream I had as a 9-year-old, that one day I want to also win matches for the country and hopefully get laurels to the country. But you mentioned about ML Jaisima, I call him uncle, and I was very fortunate and privileged that I attended a lot of camps under him. He was our Ranji Trophy coach also. The first camp I attended under him was in Vijayawada when we were playing the under-13s, and there was a South Zone under-13 camp, and for 20 days I spent time with him, and such a remarkable person. And we were very fortunate, such a humble, modest person. And in fact, I've heard a lot of stories about 1971, about what happened in West Indies, what happened in England after that and before that, as Gautam mentioned about the Patodi, the various practical jokes Nawab Patodi used to play on his teammates. So overall, I heard or learned a lot about pre-1983 era from Jay Uncle. And I wouldn't even want to be in the same category as Vishibai, because he was a magician. He was a magician. And while I've not seen too many of his great innings, while he played a lot of great innings and match-winning innings, it's not only great innings, but match-winning knocks for the country. And there's a saying that whenever Vishibai got runs, India invariably won the match. While he got hundreds, double hundreds for the Indian team. But one knock which my uncle, who's my mentor, always talks about is the 90 he got against West Indies at Chepauk.
Yes.
So I think I was very fortunate to hear such wonderful stories. And as Goria and Gautam rightly mentioned, 1983 wouldn't have happened if not for 1971, both West Indies and the England tours. And I always feel, Akash, we've discussed this so many times, that we are privileged lot. We are really blessed that now cricket has become a profession. At that time, cricket was an amateur sport. And to see the kind of passion, the kind of dedication and commitment all these legends of the game had for the game of cricket is just unbelievable. So they are the ones who inspired all of us, to take up this beautiful game.
It's beautiful, actually. Yes, the wheel had to be set in motion, and it was set in motion much before we picked up the bat. We picked up the bat perhaps by just getting inspired with what was happening before us, that 1983 victory, 1971, the stories. Now that brings me to Jhulan Goswami. Jhulan, apologies to just come to you at the last. You'll have the new ball now. Tell us something about winning in England, because you've done that. You've actually bowled, in my opinion, the greatest ball by an Indian bowler in a World Cup game. That was just a beautiful delivery at Lords. Just tell us, no, you've won in England. How is it how is it winning in England against them as well?
Well, Akash, first of all, I'd like to thanks to Boriada and Gautamda to write this book, because without knowing much, because 1971 we heard a lot of story, but reading something is something different. And thank you so much, Boriada and Gautamda, give us this lovely gift. And secondly, 2006 was different when we have gone to England. Everybody used to say that England going to win 2-0 or they might win 2-1. But absolutely, everybody used to say that Indian team is a very underdog, very new team. Only few of them are senior players there in that side. And we just play one of the best cricket in 2006, and it was ultimate series. We dominate from the first test to second test, and everybody contribute. And we before that, India never win series against England. And in England, that was the first series, 2006. We won the series, and it was outstanding feeling. Playing Test cricket, winning Test matches, outside India. You get a lot of recognition by opposition players also. They give a lot of respect. But at the end of the day, playing Test cricket and winning Test cricket match outside India is always been a great, and it was one of my cherished moments in my cricketing career.
Akash, you asked everybody.
Absolutely.
You've asked everybody. So why don't I ask you one before you go to VVS again? Tell me about Mr. Gavaskar. Both you and VVS. Tell me about Mr. Gavaskar. I mean, all of us grew up with Mr. Gavaskar. Somehow he was our answer to the world. So you first and VVS, what does Mr. Gavaskar mean to you as a cricketer?
Well, for me, I became an opener because of him. I picked up the spot. I started playing the spot, picked up the bat because Kapil Paji lifted that trophy at Lord's balcony. I was 6. These are this is what you see, and you said, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. But soon I realized that I cannot be Kapil Dev. I tried. I did my best bowling, batting, and then I realized it's not going to happen. Forget it. Fast bowling is for people like Kapil Paji and Jhulan Goswami. Akash Chopra can't do it. So I said, okay, fine, let me become an opener, because now it's Sunny Bhai. Sunny Bhai was like a hero, a legend, absolute genius. He's taking on the fastest bowlers in the world without wearing a helmet. And then still going onto the front foot, and that on drive and that flick off the pads. We didn't have the privilege of watching a lot of live sport at that point in time, Boria and everybody around. But whatever little you saw, you tried to hold on to it, hang on to it like gospel, that this is it. And so I played the game because Kapil Paji and Sunny Bhai, they all did what they did. And Sunny Ji, I became an opener because of him, Boria.
VVS, Sunny Bhai?
Well, see, we all know what he did for the game. The amount of hundreds he scored, without helmet, facing the most fearsome fast bowlers, not only from West Indies but the world over. But I will tell you, even before that, as a youngster, nowadays, there is a certification program for the coaches. You are level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. At that time, there was no such a certification program. There used to be some manuals, coaching manuals, which as a cricketer or as a youngster, we never had access to. There was no internet where now a youngster can go on YouTube and find out various things, nuances about batting. But whatever our coach used to tell, we used to blindly believe, and we used to follow that and try to rectify our game, improve our game. And later on, I came to know that whatever the coaches were telling us is whatever Sunny Bhai was doing on a cricket field. So Sunny Bhai was a master technician, and whatever changes he used to make in his game, the coaches felt that was the right way to bat. So all of us, started picking up the bat like what Sunny Bhai did. His head position, his shuffle. I mean, luckily for me, the coaches didn't tell me or force that shuffle on me. But whatever Sunny Bhai did, everyone felt that was the way to bat. And not only for me. If you ask any youngster, Akash just mentioned that, you ask any player of my generation, they all will tell that whatever Sunny Bai did as a batsman, we all followed that. Because I mean, he was a legend in not only in the way he carried the responsibility of Indian batting on his shoulders, but to take on the best in the world in their own backyard, not on spinning tracks, not on flat decks in India, but whether in Perth against Thompson and Lilly, or whether in West Indies against the 4 or 5 Pearson fast bowlers, or against John Snow or any other fast bowlers in England. And to win matches, to save matches, I think we're forgetting how important it was at that time for India to save matches, to bat for such long periods of time, shows that he didn't only have or possess, the technical abilities, but also immense amount of concentration and mental strength. And that's why he's the one we all followed while growing up, and he inspired all of us.
And Boria, now I follow him in commentary as well, because we all learn a lot from him. Thorough professional.
Absolutely. I mean, we can't follow him. We can't follow him because one thing he surprised all of us, especially me, because when I was playing cricket, if there was a couple of persons who I used to always go and talk, it was either Sunny Bai or Ravi Shastri, because both of them were part of the broadcasting team when on tours. And I always was overawed by his presence. I was fortunate that in 2004 he was our batting consultant against Australia in India when we played against them. And it was great to, share the dressing room, share all the stories and his experiences. But after retirement, the way I saw a different side of Sunny Bai, his sense of humor is just unbelievable. Best. The anecdotes, some of the stories he tells, and in the way he mimics the other players with whom he played. And Akash, we can't tell on this show, but the one of
No.
Yadad, when he hit that sixes of Viren Joshi, I mean, that has to be the best. So it's real honor and privilege to not only learn so much from Sunny Bai, but also spend so much of time with him in the commentary box.
Absolutely, it's phenomenal. Honestly, I call him Sunil Modest Gavaskar, so his middle name is Modest. He's always very, very humble and modest. But Boria, now I must ask you this question: that are there any real similarities between 2021 Australia series where India won at Gaba, the Gaba frontier? It was all about like walking wounded, but beating Australia in Australia, it was almost unthinkable. This Indian team did it twice. Second time around, with almost half the team not available for selection. You mentioned briefly earlier, 1971, 2021, life coming a full circle for Indian cricket, maybe in England. But what about Australian? Are there actually real similarities?
Interesting you ask this question, because we have a chapter 2021 meets 1971. And there are too many similarities. I mean, whether it is 355 batting first, 368 batting first, whether it is India 5-6 down for 125 or 185 in Australia, and then that partnership, whether it is Farooq Engineer closing it out and Rishabh Pant closing it out. In fact, too many similarities. And that is why I said the circle came round in 2021. So yes, there is a chapter. I mean, interesting. Akash has just got the book day before yesterday or whenever. He might have read it, but or will. But there are too many similarities between 2021 and 1971. VVS, I'm getting a question from a news junkie, and this is for you. Now, when VVS Lakshman's there, always will be a news question. So people are asking me, Boria, you just mentioned Farooq Engineer. Farooq Engineer in 1971. It's KL Rahul, Sanju Samson, Ishan Kishan, Rishabh Pant in 2021. What is it? Because actually there was tremendous controversy over the inclusion of Farooq Engineer. The call was he's playing county cricket. Should he be included? That is why he was dropped from the West Indies team and brought back for England. And the rest is history. He was not out 29 famous innings, finished off the match with Vishwanath and then Abid Ali. So the question is, who's your choice for the T20? Because there's so much controversy about wicket keepers going on at the moment. Who is VVS Lakshman's choice? This is the question from PTI.
Oh, I thought you were talking about 1971 years. I just feel that, India again is blessed. Akash just mentioned about the 2021 win in Australia, probably the best I've seen since I followed the game of cricket in the history of Indian cricket. But I think India is spoiled for choices. You saw the way Sanju Samson batted and kept and led for Rajasthan Royals, even though he didn't have too much of experience as far as captaining his side. Then there is Ishan Kishan. KL Rahul has done well whenever he's on the gloves and batted either top of the order or in the middle order. But somehow I just feel that Rishabh Pant is that player I would choose definitely for that wicketkeeper batsman's slot. Not only that he's really improved and impressed everyone with his keeping abilities, but as a left-hander coming in the middle overs, he's someone who can just take away the game from any opposition team from any situation. So I would definitely go for Rishabh Pant.
That's a decent one. So can I actually come to Jhulan just once before we go to Gautam Da again? Jhulan 1971 was actually like the World Cup. It wasn't a World Cup, it was a World Cup. But now there is World Cup next year for you guys. How are you looking at the World Cup next year from a women point of view? And then cricket is now also coming back. We saw that South Africa series as well.
Well, we all are excited. We all are looking forward for this opportunity because last 2017 we are pretty much close to winning the World Cup, but unfortunately we could not. And within the 4 years, and last year, this year supposed to be happened because of pandemic, this got postponed. So hopefully we'll do well this time, and we have preparation already started. We just played one series, and we are going to play a few more matches against England in England, and by the way, after 6-7 years we are going to play again test match in England this time. So we all are looking forward, we all are excited. At the same time, the preparation already start, individual preparation already start, and we are going to play a few series before this World Cup, and looking forward. It's just one of the big moment, and representing World Cup is a big achievement, and if you're able to do well in the World Cup, then it's like dream come true.
Yeah, stay safe, stay well, lift the trophy, Jhulan. That's what we want. We're all praying for you. Just last one before I hand it over to Boria and we'll take questions. Gautam Da, I just want to ask you one question since you mentioned even in the press box you felt like an underdog, an outsider maybe. At what stage during that tour, people actually started believing, this is going to happen. This is impossible, but maybe possible is somewhere in the word impossible. So when did it actually start to sink in that, we are at the cusp of something really great happening on the English soil?
I thought this began from the 1990 English tour in which Azhar had led India. But, before that, it was 1990, and obviously subsequently when Ganguly toured with the Indian team, 96, later on 2007, we had won a series there after 21 long years. That was gone. That inferiority complex, the feeling as an outsider was long gone. But Akash, again, trust me, going back to that era in which we grew up, in the early 70s, I was just a kid, but I still remember the feelings of an uncertain India, uncertain Bengal, and then happened Mr. Gavaskar, who was a symbol of hope, who was a symbol of, a winner. I mean, in those days in Bengal, we were living in really uncertain times like we are in today. I mean, there used to be blackout because there was huge tension with East Pakistan. After 7 o'clock, you would have no electricity in the sense that there would be blackout. They'd switch off the lights because they felt that Pakistan might bomb us. And around that time, we happened in England, which was in around August. And I still feel, going back, Akash, this was sensational. Maybe it is difficult to understand for people like you and VVS, who grew up later, for Boria, who was born in the mid-70s. But trust me, for someone who was born in the 60s, this win went much beyond a cricketing field. All of us rejoiced in our own little hearts. There was no grand celebration outside, but trust me, there was a huge celebration inside that if these people have done it, we can also do it.
I've got a flood of questions. I mean, I've never seen so many come. But before I take these, one for Akash, one for VVS, and then I'll place my questions to each one of my panelists, Gautam Da, VVS, Akash, and Jhulan. VVS, Mr. Vishwanathan, because this is Mr. Vishwanath's platform, he should have been here. I ask this of you. Firstly, he opened up like never before. And by the way, Gautam Da and I spoke to him for close to 30, 40 hours, multiple days, many interviews. So he told us that at the Oval, he said we had 3 runs left. Farooq engineer came to me and said, let's just finish off the match in singles. And he thought to himself, why is Farooq saying it? Maybe because he wants to play the winning stroke. So I will go for a 4. And he said, that is the worst shot I have ever played. I got out at 33. When I was walking back, Abid Ali went in, and that's when I realized, it dawned on me, why Farooq was saying what he was saying. He said, look, each one of us at one level seek individual glory. He said, look, I'm opening up to you. You can write it in whatever way. And for me, it was an honest person telling me what he was going through. He said, look, I still regret that shot. I wanted that glory to be mine. And for 2 seconds, I thought maybe I should finish it off. Does it happen to you guys? Has it happened? I mean, for me, Mr. Vishwanath's respect went up 200 times that someone would allow me to write this. Has it ever happened? Despite it being a team sport, you seek individual glory? Previous?
Well, to be honest, it's never ever happened to me, because irrespective of what situation the team was in, I never ever played for my personal aspirations, or never seek glory. But one shot which I definitely regret, because 1971 Oval win is a special win in the history of Indian cricket, and so was 2004 win against Australia in Adelaide. And when I went out to bat with Rahul in the second innings, we were, I think we were 4 wickets down, and it was quite tricky, because we still required some 60 odd runs, maybe 50 or 55 runs still to get. And I remember me scoring a quick fire 30, 32 runs, and with still, I think, 10 or 11 runs to get, Simon Cattich was bowling, and I took him on. I wanted to hit him over mid-wicket, and I was caught at mid-wicket. And after that, I think we lost one more wicket, and ultimately Rahul sailed us through and got us such an unbelievable win in Adelaide. So whenever I think back, probably I regret that I should have been there and finished off the innings, and that probably would have given me more satisfaction than probably it gave. But ultimately, I feel that all the players I played with, they never ever thought about their personal aspirations or personal milestones whenever the team won the match. If the team lost the match, then you introspect a lot more deeper, and you think why I played that shot, or why did I not play in a particular manner and sail the team through to a victory. But when you win, you forget about whatever wrong decisions or wrong shot selection you have chosen. But I think it's a very honest confession, because Vishibai, I'm sure, would be thinking that, if at all, just 3 runs to go, we would have won the match, and that satisfaction is something which you cannot take away from a cricketer. Even now, whenever I see us talking about Adelaide, that photograph or that visual of Rahul raising both his hands is so vivid in our memory. So I think maybe Vishibai was talking from that angle, that he wanted to be unbeaten and win the game and score the winning runs.
Yeah, for me, that's is reflection of mortality, that these people are all human, and Akash Chopra.
I'll add to it. So I spoke to GR sir once, and at least because we're talking about his honesty. So I remember talking to him, and we were at the airport, and I asked him, and I didn't know how to put that question across, but I still did. I said, were you ever scared? Because there were no helmets, right? And you would play, and then that next morning you are up against these fearsome fast bowlers, and there is a genuine cause of concern that you can get hit. You can perhaps get killed also, because these injuries can be fatal. I just threw a ball at him, and I thought, okay, let me see how he responds. Pat came and replied, said, yeah, I was scared. So evening of the match, I would actually spend about 20 minutes thinking that, okay, if I get hit, if I'm hit on the head, how am I going to respond to that? Okay, so I'm going through that emotion on the eve of the game. And therefore, he said that I would never get behind the line of the ball. I'll always say besides the line of the ball. And therefore, he was able to play those wonderful cuts. Once again, a very, very humble man, a very honest man. That humility was written all over. But only one thing I want to add to what VVS has said. Of course, most people don't play for personal glories. Just that I felt from time to time at different stages of my career that whenever the team was winning also, and if I had not contributed with the bat, it felt bad. That my team has won, but I should have contributed a bit more. A 40 would have been a 70 or an 80 or a 100 because, of course, in the end, the team has won. But since I am playing as one of those 11 people who have gone onto the field, I should have contributed a lot more. So, yeah, that one thing always stays in your mind, that your contribution, because it's 11 who make the team, right?
Okay. Okay, so 5 questions I'll take. First one, Gautam, that you take. And obviously, this is very, very important. Soumitra Das, B.S. Chandrasekhar, 6 wickets at the Oval, huge role, 71. Does the book give due credit? Of course we have, but Gautam, take this.
Of course, we have given enough credit to Chandrasekhar, but even before he went on the tour, there was an incident with the selection committee chairman, which we have also mentioned in the book. Vijay Merchant apparently told him that if you do not succeed on this tour, he will be out of the Indian team forever. And Chandrasekhar, such a nice, lovely human being, he actually got agitated. The selection committee chairman coming and telling me in presence of my teammates that if I do not perform, I'll be out of the Indian team forever. And so Chandrasekhar, once he got the wickets, and especially in the second innings, he told himself that, look here, now I will be a permanent fixture in the Indian team. So much was his insecurity, because even though he performed in the last test match, in the second test match, he was not successful at all. So he always had this fear at the back of his mind. And I think in the book, we have done justice to that.
Absolutely. Akash, you take this. From Sanjeev Navangul, very, very dear friend. By the way, Sanjeev's company, Bharat Serum, they have already ordered 400 copies of the book to be given to their employees, because this is a story of inspiration. So Sanjeev, you have always supported me in everything, and Gautam da. So he asks, the close-in catching group of Solkar, Wadekar, Venkat and Abid Ali have to be given due credit. When you play as a team, close-in field, VVS, one of the best slip fielders of all time. Talk to me about how important that close-in men to Bhagwat Chandrasekhar and the rest of the others. Akash.
This is how cricket is perhaps a slightly different sport than the rest. It is a team sport, but 9 out of 10 times you're actually on your own, because you bat alone, you bowl alone. There is nobody actually there to support you. If you play a bad shot, you pay for it. Of course, team does as well. But then you take a walk back to the pavilion and you're no longer contributing. If you bowl a bad ball, you get hit for a 4 or a 6. But then when you need to pick wickets, or you need to run, that is when the other guy in the team is of utmost importance. So Eknath Solkar, because I stood at short leg, not by design, I think by default, because VVS Garu said I'm not going to stand there. And Rahul Dravid also said I'm not going to stand there. VVS and Virendra Sehwag also said I'm not going to stand there. So I stood there, took a few catches, was fortunate. I'm still I've survived to tell the tale. So I think Eknath Solkar, he was absolute champion. On a very serious note, if you have great bowlers, Boria, then you're not scared. Then you know that people are not. You are actually safe. Even though those days there was no helmet, there was very little protection. And at times when you stand at close-in, especially short leg, let me just tell you, I was reciting Hanuman Chalisa. So I'm pretty sure Eknath Solkar must have had some God to turn to when the ball is whizzing past your ears or face, and you know that your safety is in danger. So huge respect to what the close-in fielders have done. Eknath Solkar, take about the best short leg fielder ever.
Jhulan, you take this.
Sorry, I'll just quickly add this. I know we're running out of time. Akash mentioned about Vishy talking about how to negate the bouncer, without an helmet, without wearing an helmet. You stay beside the line. Unfortunately, nowadays, the present generation of batsmen, even with a helmet, they're getting hit. So obviously, there is some technical problems there. It's nothing to do only with the mental problems, but also it's technical issues there. And similarly, whenever you see the footage of Eknath Solkar sir standing at short leg, you can actually learn a lot about how to stand and what is the right technique to stand at a short leg. Because nowadays with helmet, a lot of fielders at short leg are very upright. The moment you're upright, number one is you cannot evade, you cannot move, and you're exposing your body to get hit from the shot the batsman is going to play. Whereas if you see Eknath Solkar standing at short leg, you see how low he is. And the moment you're low, you're always looking to move away, and even the ball comes and hits, it hits the fleshy part of your body, but not the bones. So there is a technique behind standing at short leg without helmet, or this technique of batting without helmet against the quickest of bowlers, which we learn from this generation of players.
Excellent. Jhulan, you
Very
take
well
this before I
explained.
take another one to VVS, because there's a lot of questions coming from Sriram Srinivasan. Charisma is an important part of captaincy to influence the team. However, can a captain devoid of charisma also continue to influence his or her team for a long time? Jhulan, basically captaincy. I mean, Ajit Wadekar, again, it comes from Pataudi, royalty, Ajit Wadekar, etc. Your theory of captaincy, is it as good as his team, her team, or what is your take on captaincy?
Well, a captain is as good as on a team, because the captain is the last person in a cricket field, because you are going to take a call, you are going to take a decision. Now beyond that boundary rope, your coach is there, your support staff is there to give you suggestion. But ultimately, when you cross that rope, you are going to take all this crucial decision, and that decision you might win, that decision you might lose. But as a captain, you have to take all the responsibility, and always take a lead from the front, because I believe that if captain is good, the team can always do well, no matter what condition is. But for me, captain is very important person in cricket, particularly in cricket, sports of cricket, because other sports captain roles are different, particularly in the footballs or other sports. But in cricket, you have to take a lot of crucial decision at the time. So that decision, either you are going to win or going to lose. But the captain is as good as the team, because if captain is good, team is through for next level.
VVS, this is again for you from Vinay Dadhich. He equates it with Dilip Sardesai in 71 in the West Indies. 5 down, comes and scores that double hundred, everything changes. VVS Lakshman, Calcutta. VVS Lakshman, Australia. How difficult when you bat in such difficult circumstances against toughest of opposition, England, Australia, New Zealand? What is the mentality of a batsman? How do you deal with that?
Boria, VVS, please add VVS Lakshman in Mohali. VVS Lakshman in Mohali, winning the test match.
Yeah.
Well, Dilip Sardesai sir was a great batsman, and he was not only technically right, but also very mentally tough, and he was the ultimate team man. So when you have to do well against the best of the opposition bowlers, I think first and foremost, you have to have a lot of belief, a lot of self-belief, and the second important thing is how good you're preparing for the challenges. Because if you're not preparing well, then when you're out there against the best, you will not be in a good frame of mind or a positive frame of mind, and you're always restless. Once you're restless, then you're always doubting yourself. So I believe that it's a mix. Showing a self-belief in your abilities, where it allows you to play to your strength, along with preparing for the challenges based on the conditions, based on the situation, or based on the opposition bowlers. And once you have this combination, you can definitely perform. But I would actually go with the mental aspect, which is 70%, and 30% would be the preparation. Because when the great bowlers wouldn't allow you to breathe easily on the surface.
Excellent. Pratyush Thakur, Akash, you take this. Indian batting has always been good. In fact, that was also not the case in 1962. We got battered by the West Indies. Was it the difference in bowling attack that made this team special? And let me add to this. See, we keep talking about fast bowling, right? At least away from home. This was a team of spinners. Bhagwat Chandrasekhar, Venkat Raghavan, Bishan Bedi, and the rest. So it was spinners who did the job in England as well. So your thoughts on this?
It does make a lot of difference. See, I think India did pretty well in New Zealand. Also, there was one of those tours where spinners once again did well. Tiger Pataudi also got some runs there. New Zealand is another place that we find it really tough to conquer. It doesn't take our immediate mind space for a weird reason. Maybe we don't go there often and they're not the powerhouse. But winning in New Zealand is, I think, very difficult. And that's where our spinners fall. The same era of spinners, they made a difference. So if your spinners are going to go there and perform in conditions that are alien to them, conditions that are not conducive for them, of course, those were also the days of the uncovered pitches, where there might be a bit more assistance as compared to the modern day pitches. But yes, if you can manage a victory. For example, England coming to India and manage a victory without having spin in their department. It is almost unthinkable that they can come and beat India in India with just pace, Broad, Stewart, Broad, Anderson, and Jofra. It's not going to happen, is it? So for India to go out there without like a battery of pace bowlers achieving it is almost unthinkable, and that's why we say that they've done that. That impossible was converted into something that was historic. But this team, the current team, just to have that reference point, this team is blessed with a lot of quality fast bowlers. In fact, you can put them at par with any fast bowling attack in the world, and that is where our chances of doing well overseas has increased manifold.
Okay, it's 12:45 with everyone's permission because there's a flood of questions. I'll finish off in 5 minutes. Orpa Moulik asks, I'll take this to Gautam Da, but before that I'll prefix it. What was the fan following, emotion and celebration after 71? I'll give you one example. VVS Lakshman scores 281. We in the press box till the first 3 days, 128 for 8, day 2, we were walking back home, each one of us, abusing the Indian team, saying, "Arey nahi aayenge, Wankhede 3 days, this is what is going on." And again, 16th win. And the Australians were constantly abusing us in the press box. And I remember, I will not name the journalist, when VVS Lakshman got his 250th run, in that emotion, he actually slapped an Australian journalist in the Eden Gardens press box. And the whole press box was stunned. Ye kya ho gaya? That journalist had found his voice back. VVS had given us all our voice back. And to close off that evening, umpire Bansal, who was umpiring that game, his car went into a no-entry zone in Calcutta. And the cop stopped the car. So SK Bansal stepped out of the car because the driver requested him, "Sir, kuch kijiye." So the cop said, "You've entered a no-entry zone, now give me your license." And SK Bansal looks at the cop, and the cop looks closely at him and said, "You were umpiring today?" And he says, "Yes." He says, "For you, there is no entry. Please go. For you, there is nothing today in Calcutta." He said, "मैं तो VVS Lakshman भी नहीं था, Rahul Dravid भी नहीं था, but मेरे लिए भी हो गया." This is what the fan reaction was. Gautam Da, question for you. Fan reaction after 71. Talk about that Bombay cavalcade.
No, I mean, firstly, VVS Lakshman's innings in Kolkata, that 281. Very fortunate that I lived to watch that innings. All of us, possibly the greatest ever innings played by an Indian. Unbelievable. And coming back to 1971, well, while the team returned, there were huge celebrations. There was an open motorcar ride from the airport till the Wankhede Stadium. For some people who witnessed that, they said when Mahendra Singh Dhoni's team had won the 2007 T20 World Cup, the ride was the same. I mean, people came in from everywhere. But talking about Kolkata, immediately after the win, I don't recall any major celebrations because, as I said, that we were going through a period of huge unrest. But there were little celebrations inside your heart, and that was very, very crucial, Boria.
Yeah, I'll close out now in the next 3. One final question to VVS. Why has India not been able to produce another Kapil Dev, VVS Lakshman?
Can I answer that question just for fun? VVS, can I just come in? Okay, so somebody asked that question to Kapil Paji as well, and nobody could articulate it better. He said, "Mother too old, father is dead." Over to you, VVS. That's Kapil Paji. He said that.
Yes, VVS.
Yeah, see, I think it is a very difficult role, being an all-rounder, because Kapil Paji was someone who could take wickets but also score runs. And if you ask me, he was the ultimate match winner for the Indian team. Winning matches both through his bowling and batting. But I just feel that the amount of workload distribution, management is very, very critical. There have been some glimpses from some players with whom I played who had that ability of becoming a wonderful all-rounder. But somewhere along the line, because they were focusing a lot on both the skills, and ultimately the amount of workload, the amount of matches Indian team plays, and nowadays with 3 formats, it's very difficult to manage that workload. So then ultimately that player who has got the ability to become a genuine all-rounder unfortunately gets injured, and he has to compromise or he has to take a decision between either batting or bowling. So I just feel that there can be only one Kapil Dev, and it is actually not the right thing for any want to compare any sort of all-rounder with the great legendary couple there. And I think that will put undue pressure on the youngster, whoever is coming into the Indian team. Just like you cannot compare anyone with MS Dhoni or a Sachin Tendulkar or a Sunil Gavaskar, because these kind of players are once in a lifetime or once in a generation type of players.
True, and you
Or a
also
VVS
can't.
Laxman.
I was
Or a
about to
VVS
say that.
Laxman, Boria.
I was about to say that the 281 will never be replicated. So humility and modesty personified in that answer. I'll close out with a couple of minutes, and I will say this. 1971 was an emblem of hope, and today we need that hope more than anything. 11 men, 15 men going to England unfancied, taking them on 4-0. Ray Illingworth's team had beaten Australia to beat them in England within 4 months of beating the West Indies. Yes, we can. In this day and age, it's a personal battle that each one of us are fighting against COVID. Yes, we can. Sport is always about a symbol of hope, a torchbearer. When VVS Laxman walked in, that 128 for 8 turned to 171 all out, 59 from the man, then 281. Yes, we can. We started believing. When Akash Chopra was blunting the new ball in Australia time and again, giving India a start, yes, we can. And for me, that is about 1971. In this day and age, that's the key. Jhulan Goswami bowling that ball to Meg Lanning, taking that stump, will forever be that emblem of hope for Indian cricket. Gautam Da and I used to meet in my house. Being journalists, we had the pass during lockdown. And for hours on end, either Mr. Gavaskar or Mr. Vishwanath or Bishanji, somebody would be at the other end telling us stories, being generous with their time. This book is now available on Amazon, on Flipkart, everywhere. Read it, because this is the story of Indian cricket, the legacy that lives on with Gautam Da, Akash and the rest, and of course Jhulan. To the Tata Group for everything that you've done, including the contribution of Oxygen Day before yesterday to the country. Thank you very much for giving us the platform. To Anil Dharkar, you had planned this with us, Anil. Thank you very much. Harish and Amy, Atul and Jaya, thanks for being there. And to everybody who watched and sent their questions, believe me, this has been a book which is a labor of love. We did not write it for money. We did not write it for anything else, but we wanted to position Indian cricket and these members of the 1971 team where they belong. So to HarperCollins, Udayan and the rest of the team, thanks for publishing it. I know publishers are also facing a challenge. On that note, day after we convene again, not on this platform, on a different platform, with Mr. Gavaskar, Mithali Raj, Bharat Arun, to celebrate the 1971 team. For the moment, VVS Laxman, Akash Chopra, Jhulan Goswami, Gautam Bhattacharya, and everyone who watched it, a heartfelt thank you. I hope it gave you a little bit of hope amidst all the gloom and negativity. Thank you very much for being there.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay
Thanks.
safe.
Take care.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye. Bye.